Hi, guys. Good morning. I believe we are live now. So I hope you're all doing great. Let me adjust myself, my cameras. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about yelling because and if you don't know, I'm going to tell you that I am on a personal mission to help 10 million parents stop yelling at their kids. Why do I do this? Because it is so important to realize that yelling is not the answer. I know it's always like, okay, everybody yells at kids, but is that good to do? Hi, Starlight. Welcome to my live today. Is yelling appropriate? Do you like to be yelled at? Let's reflect for a minute as we get into this, because we're going to reflect on how you felt as a yeller, how you feel as a yeller, how you felt being yelled at. My daughter never goes to the washroom no matter what. Okay, we're going to talk about all this stuff, all right? And I want you to think about why you yell. Okay, that's one of the things I want to think about. And if you're new to my broadcast, I want to, of course, welcome you. Thank you for being here. I want to tell you who I am. I'm Celia Kibler. I'm a family and relationship empowerment coach, and I have over 40 years experience doing this work. I am a mom of 5 kids, 2 I gave birth to and 3 I gained through marriage. I've been successfully parenting a blended family for over 28 years, and might I add, without yelling. I've been successfully parenting children, my own children, for over 41 years without yelling. They are cooperative. They are successful adults. They have great careers. They are responsible adults. They understand consequences. All of these things were incorporated into my parenting strategy, but yelling was not. I like you. You have great ideas. I like you too. Thank you. I'm grateful for that comment. So I incorporate everything we need. What needs to be in your parenting system, in your parenting strategy, are these things. You need to have encouragement for your kids. You need to have consequences, limits, boundaries, schedules, routines, calm, respectful communication, fun, laughter. You need to be proactive. There are consequences. All of that is included in your parenting system. People always talk about peaceful parenting, or, what the many names for what people call the new way to parent. But just because you're being calm and you're being respectful to your children doesn't mean they always get their way. How do you spoil a child? You into them always, always getting their way when they want it, how they want it, always giving in. That spoils a child. Children need to learn delayed gratification, not instant gratification. They need to exercise their disappointment muscle. They need to learn that, hey, welcome to life when things don't always go your way. And that's okay. We make mistakes. We fail. All of that is okay. And that's what the combination of a good parenting system puts into place. And when all of these things are put into place, it eliminates the need to yell. Am I saying that you're never going to yell? Of course not. We have good days, we have bad days, we're human. We might get irritated once in a while. Yes or yes. Yes, right? But the constant yelling, I'll ask you now, everybody that's watching, please put a number in the comments about how often in a day you yell. Let me know how many times a day you feel like you need to yell at your kids or at your spouse or at somebody. You feel like you're yelling, okay? Because it kind of relates to every relationship you have. How many times in a day do you yell? 5 times, and thank you for your honesty, once. So, probably about 5 times. So, it seems like on a daily basis, you are needing to yell to get your kids to cooperate or listen, right? A lot of people are putting in 4 or 5 times. What if answer me this question, what if you could get your children to cooperate and listen without having to yell? Do you believe that's possible? Because some people don't. A lot of people think it's not possible. It's just simply not possible to raise children without yelling. This is after things escalated. Gentle parenting did not work, or it was not feeling like I was being heard. So that's because, and thank you for that statement. I appreciate it. And guys, let me preface this with I will always be truthful to you. I will point out what is not going right in your habits and your behaviors. I will do it kindly, compassionately. I will never be mean. But we're here to get things straightened out, right? So you need to hear the truth. I have tried everything, but it didn't work for me. So here's the truth. And again, I say this with all the love in the world because parenting is hard. I've raised 5 kids. They're now adults. They've lived to talk about it. And I'm proud to say the majority of those 41 years that I raised my children, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I raised my voice. And I'm serious. And they got raised with consequences, limits, boundaries. They learned to cooperate, to listen. We had calm, respectful communication, all of that. If you say, I've tried everything, and you're by no means, Tay, the only person's ever said that to me. I hear that a lot from parents, but nothing worked. I will tell you for the most part, it's lacking consistency in a certain technique that you're using. Consistency is important. When I yell, my 2.5-year-old feels hurt and cries. She comes to hug me tightly. After she's calmed down, she goes back to doing whatever made me yell in the first place. Okay. So remember, I said there has to be consequences, but also to motivate children, there also has to be an encouragement system. They have to want to cooperate. They have to want to listen. When I ask parents, what are the 2 reasons you yell? Number 1 is I don't know any other way. And that's because you were probably raised by a yeller and you really don't know any other way. Okay. I get that. The second is I ask nicely, I smile, I use my manners, I speak nicely. I ask them 5 times and then they don't do anything until I start yelling. Here is the problem with that scenario. Stop asking. The problem actually is not the yelling. The problem is you're asking your child over and over and over again to do the same thing. Ask them once, maybe twice. I'll give you twice. And then there is a consequence. Then there's action. There's not you leaving and coming back and asking and leaving, coming back, asking, leaving, coming back. Because you know what you're doing? All you're doing is training your children to wait until you yell because that's when you're serious. He has commit to play a game with my phone. When I tell him no, he match. I'm not sure I understand what that means. Okay. You have to be intentional. There has to be consequences if they don't go along with what you're asking. You don't just keep asking. Okay, and I'm going to interrupt for a minute because I'm going to tell you I have a great program, really reasonable for you called Quit Yelling in 21 Days. And you just go to quityelling.com. And all these things I speak about, which should be a part of your parenting system, I tell you how to do it in 21 days before the end of February. Before the end of February, you can be one of the 10 million parents I help that stop yelling at their kids and that feel great. Because the majority of parents that I talk to that yell at their kids feel terrible about yelling. They feel guilty. They feel like a horrible parent. We don't like to feel that way. Who wants to feel that way? Nobody wants to feel that way. You want to feel like a good parent. You want to feel like you're being intentional. I tell her to go to the washroom. She never listens and does it on the couch. What you remember? Well, is yelling getting her to do it? Has yelling worked so far? No. She's still doing what you're doing. She's still not going to the washroom. You're yelling and nothing's being achieved. You're not teaching her. You're merely scaring her. Yelling creates fear. So now your children are afraid of you. We don't want them to be afraid. We want them to believe that we're all part of the same team. We're a family. We're all working together to create a community of people that love each other and are willing to make our little world, our little family better. I had bought a potty training watch and that worked well for my toddler. Good. I'm glad that worked well. Thank you for sharing. You have to be consistent and take them. When you're training them, you don't ask, you take them consistently every half hour till they get used to it. Any advice for consequences for an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old? Timeout worked when they were younger. Okay, guys, and consequence, I'm going to give you a quick formula about consequences, but we're going to talk more about yelling. Okay, but here's a quick formula. So get a pen. Here's a pen. This is what a pen looks like. I don't know why I'm showing you a pen, but in case you don't know what a pen looks like, this is a pen. Get some paper and a pen. Write this down. 3 R's to a consequence. Are you ready? First R, relatable. It relates to the crime. Okay? And I'll give you an example of the perfect consequence. Second R, it's repeatable. Every time that situation happens, the same consequence occurs. And it is reasonable. That means if you're irritated at them for some reason for not getting off a tablet, you don't throw a perfectly good tablet in the garbage can. And thank you for following me, guys. I appreciate it. Why would you throw a perfectly good tablet in the garbage can? That's unreasonable. Okay? Relatable, repeatable, reasonable. Let me give you an example of the perfect consequence in society so you can kind of get an idea. The speeding ticket. We get out on the road. We decide whether we are going to speed or not. We know the consequence. The consequence is a speeding ticket. So we're making an educated choice. So you may want to talk with your child and go, if this happens again, this is the consequence that will result. Okay? We know we make an educated decision to speed. We speed, a policeman pulls us over. He gives us a speeding ticket. It relates to the crime. You were speeding, you get a speeding ticket. Perfectly relatable. He does not tow your car away. He does not take your keys. He, in fact, lets you start your engine and drive off again. It is reasonable. You get this speeding ticket as a consequence. And it is repeatable. Every time you speed, you risk getting a speeding ticket. It is relatable, repeatable, and reasonable. That's the formula for a consequence. Okay, I hope that helps. If you want to solve anything, guys, reach out to me. I give SOS calls. What's an SOS call? An SOS call is you and I privately for 1 hour to resolve an issue. They are hundreds of dollars less than my standard private coaching rates. They do cost money. They are not free because you are using an hour of my time, and I hope that we are respectful of each other's time. So they do cost $50, but it'll be the best $50 you ever spent. And you get to resolve something. So if you want an SOS call, go to talkwithcelia.com. Somebody can put that in the comments. Talkwithcelia.com. Okay, so that's the formula for a consequence. Apply it to whatever's going on. Let's get back to yelling, okay? Parents will also say to me, my kids make me yell. And I tell them, if you didn't act like this, I wouldn't yell. How many of you actually say to your kids, if you didn't act like this, I wouldn't have to yell? Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much. She put the talkwithcelia.com. That goes directly to my calendar. Okay. So how many of you say, if my kids wouldn't act this way, I wouldn't have to yell? Yeah, Shady, you do. A lot of people do, because I talk to thousands of people that yell. Yes, that is blaming, because the only one that can make you yell is you. Nobody can make you yell unless somebody's holding a gun to your head, in which case they hold a gun to your head and they say, yell, you may yell. But in life, no one makes you yell but you. You make a conscious decision to yell. I always try to explain to my toddler why it got to this point. I say that every day. Okay, so listen, my dear parents, who I love dearly, and thank you so much for being here with me. No one's making you yell but you. I don't care if your kids are screaming, throwing things. If you're yelling, it is your decision. You are the one that doesn't know another way. And here's another eye opener. I'll always tell you the truth because I want you to stop yelling. And again, if you want to do the 21-day program, super cheap, quityelling.com. Quityelling.com. I mean, like low price right now. It's going up, but right now it's a really low price because it's kind of introductory. Okay. The only one that can make you stop yelling is you. If your kids are screaming and throwing a tantrum and you start yelling and screaming and even hitting, guess what you are doing? You are throwing a tantrum, just like them. Thank you, Shady. Thank you for being my recorder, my caption helper. I appreciate that. You are throwing a tantrum. What is a tantrum? A tantrum is when we lose control of our emotions. When we don't have control over what we're feeling and what we're doing. That's a tantrum. And if you're hitting, screaming, yelling, all of that at your kids, guess what? Adult tantrum. I've told my kids multiple times, when their daddy comes home, just give him a couple minutes, then you can play. But they instantly jump on my husband and ruin all the uniform. Then I yell. You're teaching them that is the way to resolve conflicts. Bingo, Jenny. Yes, you are teaching them. And for whoever said, I don't even know who said that, Tag, they miss their father. They want to see him. If he needs 15 minutes, then let's be proactive. Prepare something you're doing with your kids. Let them understand that daddy needs 15 minutes. Set a timer for them and give them some encouragement. They can earn stickers or get them involved in maybe fixing dinner and get dad to say hi to them. Give them a hug, welcome, let dad see that. Let me start that sentence over. Let dad show them that he's excited to see them and say, guys, I'm going to go change. I'll be right back down. As opposed to just walking in and leaving. Show attention. Okay? Doesn't have to be 20 minutes. He can just simply say hi to the children and then go upstairs and encourage them through something motivational. Okay? You're teaching them that this is the way to, oh yeah, we read that. Yes. You are teaching your child, if you are throwing a tantrum when they disappoint you, you are teaching your child that when they're disappointed, that's how you behave. Remember, you're their role model. Everything, almost everything they're learning from you. Guys, and if this is helping you, please share this out, okay? Because you know there are a lot of other people that are also yelling and don't know how to stop yelling. This part's important, guys. Oh, it's all important. But recognize your triggers. You and your children have the same triggers. What are those triggers? Hunger, thirst, sleep, and overwhelm. Why thirst? Because when we get dehydrated, the first thing to go is our brain. So we need to be drinking water to keep our hydration levels up. And so have water around with your kids when they're doing stuff. They're doing their homework, give them a cup of water. They're playing, give them a cup of water. Okay? So that's avoided. Make sure they're eating on time. Make sure they're getting their scheduled sleep so they're not irritable. And make sure you are too. All those triggers are for young and old. We all have the same triggers. How many times do you not get a good night's sleep and you're irritable? Start incorporating routines. If your morning is hectic, like so many people are, and you start the day yelling, how will anyone have a good day? You've already started them full of stress. They're already stressed out. They've already been yelling and screaming and being called names or being, made to feel that they're less than. How are they possibly going to feel good about themselves and continue on their day and have a great day? How will you? Now you're irritated because you're all stressed out and you've been yelling at your kids. You have to decide there is a better way. I'm not going to do this. If you want a book, I wrote a manual. This is a manual, just won the Mom's Choice Award. Raising Happy Toddlers is a manual. You can look up anything that's going on. The Safe House, consequences. We all make mistakes. It's all in here and it gives you successful solutions to everything you need to know. So if you'd rather just have a book, get my book. You can get this book and my kids' books at celiasbooks.com. This comes in English and Spanish, depending on what language you would like that book in. Makes a great gift, too, if you need to buy a gift. Okay, so it is us who has to demonstrate calm. We are the ones that have to be the voice of calm. Our children are learning from us. All we're born with in life is lots of emotions. We are not born with how to regulate them. We are not born with emotional intelligence. It comes with being taught that. And if you don't know how to regulate your emotions, you're going to have a hard time teaching your children. Children do not have logic. They don't have reasoning. Little kids can't look at this and go, okay, now logically, let me look at this logically. They can't do it. It's not in their brain. It's not that they're not doing it. It doesn't exist. We can look at things logically. We can teach our children to look at things logically, but they do not have the brain power to utilize logic. It is not there yet. There are so many things about a child's brain that you need to recognize, and we'll explain a lot, like the fact that the human brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25 years old. So guess what? If you're under 25 and you're watching me now, you don't have a fully developed brain. If you have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, they've got 20 plus years of development, mostly taught by you. If you are expecting your child to respond to you like an adult, this is not just difficult, it's impossible. Let me say that again. If you are expecting your child to respond to you like an adult, that is not difficult, it is impossible. They are not adults, and it is up to us to teach them. And everything we do, good or not so good, you give your child permission to do. If you hit them, you give them permission to hit. If you scream and yell, you give them permission to scream and yell. If you throw things or call names, you give them permission to throw and call names. Is this helping? Is this helping you? Give me an emoji. Give me hearts. Give me something that shows me that this is helping you to get a clearer understanding of ourselves. We need to decide we are going to take control of us, because the only ones we can control is us. We can't control what's happening around us. We can't control what's happening in the world. We can't control what's happening with our children or how they're going to respond. But we can control how we will respond. You may never know how your child's going to respond to something, but your child should always know how you're going to respond. And the way you respond forms those voices in their head. If you are always yelling, they will always be afraid of other people's opinions of them. They will not be confident. They will not be willing to speak up, because if they speak up, what's someone going to think of them if I do speak up? I don't want to be judged and criticized, because that's what yelling is. It's a judgment. It's a criticism. The way you talk to your kids, are you judging? Are you criticizing them? Even without intention. And I know so much of this is without intention. But you have to learn a better way. I want you to think about something. Here we are. It is February 6th. On the East Coast of the United States, it is 10:57 a.m. Wherever you are, it is the time it is for you. At this moment in time, you are coming to this day with all the knowledge you know in the world, everything you know. And you are coming to this day with all that knowledge. If things are not working, if in your family you're yelling, your kids aren't cooperating, they're not listening, if things are not going right, then recognize that, you know what? With all this knowledge I have, it's not enough. I need to know what I don't know. It is possible to raise incredibly responsible, confident adults without yelling at them. Because when you're yelling, you create angry, raging children just like you. Why is there so much violence in the world? Why are there school shootings? Why do people abuse children? Why do people murder, kill? Why is there this anger and rage? Because they were raised with angry, raging parents in an angry, raging environment, and they became angry, raging adults. What do you want for your children? I challenge you to make a list of 10 qualities that you want for your child. Do you want them to be honest, kind? If you can think of qualities, put them in the comments. What are the qualities you want for your child when they're an adult? Every quality you write down, and I'm so sorry, you know what, my comments weren't scrolling. How do I let my toddler express herself without disrespecting me, if that makes sense? That's when we start to go back and forth, and then I raise my voice. Who said that? Because I'm gonna comment on that. Oh, Shady. Okay. Respect. I'm gonna talk about respect. Talk about that next. But think of all the things you want for your child. You have to be that person. If you want them to be kind, you have to be kind. If you want them to be compassionate, you have to be compassionate. If you want them to be honest, you have to be honest. If they're lying because they're afraid to get in trouble. If they're always being punished, screamed at, yelled at, they're going to grow up lying to avoid it. Okay? Let's talk about respect for a minute. Shady, you brought up respect. You want your child to respect you. Yelling is not respectful. Who was the last person, honestly, that you respected, literally respected, who screamed and yelled at you all the time? Do you respect someone like that? If you go to a job and your boss spends the whole day screaming and yelling at you and your other coworkers, do you guys respect that guy? No, and you'll probably quit. Your kids can't quit. The way you teach respect is by being respectful. The way you teach compassion is by being compassionate. The way you teach responsibility is by giving responsibility. The way you teach it integrity is by doing what you say you're going to do and following through and not making idle threats. If the way you teach honesty is by and not lying is by not asking your child to lie. So often, and often innocently, we'll say to a child, "Don't tell dad that we did this. Don't tell mom that we did this. Don't tell somebody that we did something." That is directly asking your child to lie, and once you give them permission to lie, a lie is okay. Think if anybody's doing it. It might be a grandparent, and like I say, a lot of times it's innocent. A grandparent takes their kids for ice cream, and they're like, "Don't tell your parent that we went for ice cream." Well, now that child, when asked, "What did you do with grandma or grandpa?" has to create a lie. We story tell with our kids all the time. From birth, we're always telling stories. But all of a sudden along the way, they realize that if they do something wrong, they get screamed and yelled at. Now they live in fear of doing something wrong. So they lie. Instead of teaching your kids that, you know what, we all make mistakes. It's part of life. It's part of being human. It's part of learning and growing. You make a mistake, you learn from it, you acknowledge it. You're like, "Okay, let's look over what happened here. How can we do this differently? How can we not make this mistake again?" It's not the end of the world, it's the beginning. It's growth. It's on the road to success. It's not the opposite of success. And it's up to you to encourage your kids to recognize this. But if everything they do, if you ask them to clean up a table and they did a great job, but they left a napkin in the corner, and you say to them, and they go, "Okay, I cleaned up the table," and they go out, and you go, "You didn't clean this table. There's still a napkin on it." Well, except that 99% of that table was clean and you said nothing about it. All you cared about was a napkin, where you could have walked over to that napkin, picked it up, and thrown it away and said, "Thank you for clearing off the table. You did a great job." That is criticism and needless judgment. They're not going to do things if every time they do something, you have something to say about it. "Well, you did a good job, but." Stop the buts. Just, "You did a great job." And there are other ways you can learn to teach your children to do better and better jobs without criticism. I can't do it all in one live. But if you want to make this happen, you can work with me privately. If you want the fastest road to success, in 6 months, your life will turn around. If you want one SOS call to solve a problem, talkwithcelia.com. Could you post this live video to your Instagram feed? Yes, I do. I will post it. I've listened since the start. It's been Oh, I'm so glad, Sophie. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Toddler mommy, I want my trampoline. Mommy, I want my trampoline. That's what the toddler's saying. And the toddler can have the trampoline. So the best way to talk to toddlers, guys, and I've been teaching toddlers for like 40 years, is to say, so like, and I'm just going to interpret this how I see it. She says no, and that's an argument. Ugh, that's just an example. Okay. So she wants the trampoline, and you say no, Shady. Anyway, If she wants the trampoline and this is not the time for the trampoline, you have to say, honey, you can't have the trampoline, but you know what? We're going to eat lunch. After lunch, we're going to clean up the dishes and then you can jump on the trampoline. Can't do the trampoline today, but on Saturday, we're going to spend a lot of time jumping on the trampoline. If she throws a fit, well, she throws a fit. Do not let your child's tantrums direct your behavior. Children will throw a fit. They will sometimes get disappointed when they say no, when someone says no. No, I offer, okay, but we need to clean it first. And then she fights me on it. Well, then the consequence, we clean it and you can jump on the trampoline, or we clean it and you can go to bed. Perfect choice. Cleaning it's not an option. So you can either clean it and jump, or you can clean it and go to bed. What would you like? She's going to pick jumping. When things are non-negotiable, they're non-negotiable. You take charge of that. Guys, if you are constantly struggling, I know it's an investment, but it is an investment in your sanity. You can either live your life stressed out all the time. You're so welcome, honey. Stressed out all the time and having your kids stressed out all the time, or you can make an investment like you do in a car, a house, an education, a job. What's more important than your parenting and your kids? And you can decide, I'm investing in my sanity, my children's sanity, and their life as an adult. Do you want them recovering from their childhood or blossoming from their childhood? What do you want? Do you want every day to be stressful? What is the number one killer of human beings? Stress. Stress causes half the illnesses that we experience. I really did buy your book. I just need to make the time to sit down and read it. It's just so hard for me and you're exhausted. And thank you for buying my book. And remember, guys, with my book, since I wrote it like a manual, if you can't read it from cover to cover, at any time, if you're like, okay, let me pick out a chapter. All right. Creating a kind, nice child. Go to that chapter. Gratitude. When children bend the truth and lie. Somebody asked about that. Chapter 16. Go to that chapter. It is literally written like a manual. You don't have to read it from start to finish, although it's nice. But stick it on your shelf if it's on your shelf and look stuff up. How to control tantrums. How to get your children to eat better. How to potty train. It's all in there. And I tell you, it works for teenagers as much as toddlers. Maybe you don't need the potty training chapter, but all the other chapters are going to come in very helpful. Could you please tell me book name one more time? Yeah, Shruti, here it is, honey. Raising Happy Toddlers, How to Build Great Parenting Skills and Stop Yelling at Your Kids. You can get it at celiasbooks.com. CELIAS books.com. Please show it again. By me. There's my name. Oh, wait, it's falling. Okay. Take a screenshot. It is available in English and in Spanish. Here's the Spanish version, also a manual, all in Spanish. And these are my 3 children's books. Being Different is Fun. I Am Grateful. All About Me. All those books are available at celiasbooks.com. Yes, you can absolutely. Thank you, Jenny, for putting that in there. Can you still? Yes. It's never too late, guys. It's never too late to change the way you parent. Never. I work with adult parents that have adult kids. One of my clients is 77 and her daughter's 55. Oh, thanks, Mark. Mary, thank you, honey. Thank you. It's never too late. It's only too late if you're dead. So I'm assuming you're not dead because you're here with me. It's never too late. And honestly, the information in this book, or this book, depending on what language you like, will even help teenagers, because the majority of this book is getting your family working together positively. Okay. Guys, I got to run. I have a client in a few minutes. If you want to work with me, send me a message. We'll have a conversation. We'll see what's going on, and I'll let you know how you can resolve it. Okay. If you want to go the independent route, go to quityelling.com. Then you can independently learn stuff. And if you've done that and you still want to come back and work together, I'm here. That's what I do. Okay. So there are lots of options. If you're not sure which way to go, send me a message right here on Instagram, on YouTube, on where else? On my LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm everywhere. Okay, wherever you are. I've got to run, but guys, please be intentional. And if you heard one thing in this conversation, you're like, I got to start doing it. Decide to do it. Decide to make a difference. I'm so glad, Deb. Thank you so much for joining, and share this out if you know it'll help somebody. I will post it to my Instagram page, so it will be on there permanently. You can watch it again and again. How can I get the books? I'm in Nigeria. So there is a way. I think it has to get shipped to Nigeria. I think you have to order it on your closest Amazon site, and they will ship to Nigeria. Okay. At, US prices, this guy's $19.95. The kids' books are like $9.95 each. So, I mean, even if you got them all, you're talking about $50. Worth it to change your world, right? And, Laura, maybe better for you to go to quityelling.com and buy that program. And that will get you started. Okay. If you can't get the books, because I know it's hard. I have a lot of people I work with in Nigeria, and I know that's hard. But why don't you go to quityelling.com and get that program? That's delivered online, back office, anywhere in the world. Okay. Guys, I love you. Thank you for being here. I know you have busy schedules, and I'm grateful that you chose to spend some time here with me. Feel free to share this out. And as always, I wish you days filled with peace, love, tons of laughter. Don't forget to laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. And you got to have fun, right? Yes, has to be fun. So find the funny. And I'll see you here next time on Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, and all around the web. I mean, I'm always posting reels. There's subscriptions here on Instagram for only $5, and you get lots of information. Okay. The site is quityelling.com. QUIT like Tom, yelling, YELLING.com. Quityelling.com. You guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.